Would you like to discover a powerful technique that allows you to develop great looking bonsai trees with maturity and incredible looking nabari? If you're serious about developing quality bonsai trees, then you need to try this one trick. Keep watching and I'll show you this expert tip for developing incredible looking trees in a shorter period of time and boosting the quality of your bonsai development. When you grow a tree in a bonsai pot, the only resources that are available to that tree for its growth and development are what's contained within the pot. And because that's an artificial environment, that can slow down the growth and development of your tree. Now, for trees in refinement rather than development, that might be exactly what we want. But what about young bonsai trees, saplings and seedlings, and trees still in early development? There is a compelling school of argument that says that ceramic bonsai pots are only really for finished or refined trees. Put a tree into a ceramic pot and you effectively put its development into slow motion. But there is another way. Planting trees into the ground or into a growing bed will always provide greater benefits, as the tree can naturally source all the water and nutrients it requires for rapid growth. To prevent the roots from escaping and to help promote a lateral radial root spread, it can be beneficial to plant it over the top of a buried paving slab. This will restrict downward root growth, encourage the roots to splay out into a shallow root mass, and make it easier to dig up once it's matured after a number of years. This in turn sets up the tree for a life in a shallow pot. I have been using this quiet corner of the garden as a small growing bed, and I've got a number of trees thickening up quite nicely in there. The problem is it's quite a small area and I've run out of space, so I've decided I am going to claim a small sliver running up the edge of the lawn and use that as an additional growing bed. I bought this pack of tiles, which contains I think 9 tiles, for about £13 from B&Q, the local big box DIY store. I've gone for a fairly inexpensive tile. Obviously these are going to be buried under the ground, so it's not necessary to go for something that's highly decorative, just something that's going to be robust and is going to survive quite well, buried under the ground for a number of growing seasons, and is going to provide a hard physical barrier to prevent the roots from penetrating downwards and escaping away with your trees. Growing bonsai trees over a tile or a buried slab in a growing bed in the ground is a highly effective technique for accelerating the development of mature looking bonsai in a relatively short time. And even existing trees in pots can benefit from time growing in the ground. While growing a tree in a pot will put its development into slow motion, growing it in the ground will put it on steroids. This method of ground growing over a slab or a tile leverages the natural vigour of ground planting, while controlling root growth to create a desirable radial root spread and nabari, which is crucial for the aesthetic appeal of bonsai. Practical steps for ground growing over a tile or a slab. Choosing the right location. Select a sunny, well-drained spot for the ground growing bed. Ideally, it should be a place where the tree can stay undisturbed for several years. Ensure the soil is fertile and rich in organic matter to provide a good growing environment. Preparing the tile or slab. Use a large flat tile, ceramic slab, or concrete paving stone. The size of the tile should be larger than the tree's current root ball, ideally 12 to 18 inches, that's 30 to 45 centimeters in diameter, depending on the size of the tree. The tile should be durable enough to last several years underground without disintegrating. Burial depth. Dig a hole in the ground about 4 to 6 inches, 10 to 15 centimeters deep, and place the tile or slab flat at the bottom of the hole. The depth ensures that the tree's roots will hit the slab after a short period and begin spreading horizontally rather than growing deep into the ground. This creates the desired root spread. Planting the tree. Place the trees on top of the tile or slab, ensuring that the roots are evenly spread. Backfill with soil, lightly tamping it down to ensure that there's no air pockets around the roots. Water thoroughly to settle the soil. Growing period. The tree should be left to grow in the ground for about 3 to 5 years, depending on the species and how fast it grows, and obviously your desired results. For a tree newly planted or transplanted into the ground, year 1 will be slow as the tree is in shock. In year 2 the roots will begin to develop as the tree gets established, and in years 3 and subsequent years the tree will begin to put on significant growth. By comparison, for a tree grown in a pot, growth over the same period of time might be negligible. Whilst growth may not have stopped, consider it has been put into slow motion. The saying is that first it sleeps, next it creeps, and then it leaps, suggesting that in year 1 the tree is adapting to the new environment. In year 2 it's beginning to explore and put out roots, and in years 3 and subsequent years it's putting on significant growth. You can prune the top growth periodically. During this time the trunk will thicken significantly and the roots will spread radially. You can prune the top growth periodically to encourage thicker lower branches and better structure, but be careful not to over prune, as the goal is vigorous growth. Ground growing your trees, planting them and growing them for a couple of seasons in a growing bed, is by no means the only way that you can develop your bonsai trees, but it does have the advantage that it will put your development into fast forward and give you quicker results than just simply growing those trees in a ceramic pot.